everyone. It's 9 o'clock, May 27, 2025, and I'll call the regular Commissioners Court meeting to order. First item on the agenda is roll call by our County Clerk, Mary Jane Manila. Mary Jane, good morning.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Judge Rathbone.
Present.
Commissioner Moya.
Present.
Commissioner Morales.
Present.
Commissioner Solis.
Present.
And Commissioner Garza.
Present.
We have a quorum, Judge.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Next item is our invocation by Dr. Roger Miller, Commissioners Court Chaplain. Dr. Miller, good to see you again.
Good morning. Yes, as our auditor reminds me, I'm still here. Bow your heads with me as we pray. Our Father who provides, we come before you today remembering that we had little and you provided what we needed. When we were anxious and you brought peace. When we were alone and you became our friend. You are aware of the sparrow when it falls to the earth, and you truly know what we need this day. So today, Father, we have needs which only you can provide. So we ask you again, provide for each member of this court for their individual needs this day. We ask that our leaders be given the courage to listen to your guidance, and it speaks quietly to them for the matters of this day. We ask that they would hear you through the seemingly intolerable noises which surround them. We also ask you, Father, to meet their needs for health and body, boldness in their decisions of the soul, and trust in you in their spirit. Prepare them to see this day the matters before them as an opportunity to experience your presence. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4, Communications Commissioners.
Judge, about 2 weeks ago, we had a small structure fire on 19th and Gilmore. So I was getting out of pump and shop, I saw the smoke, so I responded to that fire. It was just good to see citizens, arrive and assist before firefighters got there. So I want to recognize we had Stevie Arial, we had Beto Vela, Ernesto Guerra. They pretty much contained the fire until the fire department showed up. So like I said, it's so nice to see, the citizens of Zapata, respond. It was a small travel trailer that was right behind the permanent residence. So if it wasn't for these gentlemen, probably the residents would have caught on fire. So just want to recognize those gentlemen, for their brave efforts. We had Stevie Ariel on the roof, throwing water at that fire, but it was pretty nice to see, Of course, I was there as well, doing what I could, but like I said, these gentlemen, they jumped the fence, they went into action, without being asked to, they put it upon themselves. So just want to recognize those 3 gentlemen, and I want to thank them, on behalf of the Zapata County.
Very well. Any other communications? We had our annual Memorial Day ceremony yesterday. We had good turnout. The veterans, local veterans are always willing to serve, appreciate their service. We also had, I just want to thank especially Sergeant Mireles and Junior ROTC. Those young cadets were present there with the flag raising and did an outstanding job. Seems they're always very active, so I'm very proud of those cadets. Of course, our Veteran Service Officer, Paul Gonzalez, did an outstanding job preparing them and rehearsing them to get ready. And it's just a very good event. That I also learned that the cadets placed more than 400 flags on the graves of our fallen soldiers throughout our local fallen soldiers in our cemetery. So more than 400 flags were placed in honoring these fallen veterans. So I just wanted to congratulate all those that were involved, and especially our veterans, for their services.
Thank you, Mr. Polk.
Any other communications?
Also, just to advise the public that we're still hiring for lifeguards for the pool. Our plan is to open the first week of June,
Okay.
but we haven't had that many applicants for lifeguards. So if y'all have any children or young adults, that wanna, become lifeguards, let us know. Have them apply with Human Resources.
So as far as certification, Commissioner, where do we get certified?
So we had to make contact with another gentleman because they stopped certifying, I think, last weekend. So I did make contact with a certified instructor, and he's willing to help us out within a week time span. to get these lifeguards certified, so
Can that be
the
here?
sooner the better.
Can that be here in Zapata?
I don't think we have the facility that'll, do it for the certification, but we would have to go to Laredo for that.
They can call Mrs. Trevino also, Mrs. Trevino, and she has all the information for them.
Yeah,
And is it at their expense or at the county's expense?
they pay it, and if they're hired, then we reimburse them for passing, but they have to pass the certification.
I'll read you the other information.
Okay, Pat, our Indigent Healthcare Director, good morning, Pat. Morning, Pat.
Good morning. Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Good morning.
For the record, Patricia Gonzalez, Director of the Health Indigent Program here in Zapata. I wanted to do this presentation. I didn't have the chance to submit it Wednesday, so it could come out in the agenda. It's just a breakdown of the 3 years. Actually, I've been there already 3 years. My first year, I came in January, so the program had already started. It's just a little breakdown so you can see how it's been used and progressing, and also because it's also based on numbers, which is what we spend, right? So you can actually see on in the middle section. Well, let me give some information. On 2022 to 23, we serviced 183 clients through the indigent program. In 23-24, we serviced 216 clients, and to this year, 24-25, we have serviced 158. It has come down a little bit because we do not have the same providers we used to have before. So you can see the difference of.
Right, the decline.
But then we spend less, right? So in the middle section, you'll see how it was break down through physicians, prescriptions, inpatients, outpatients, and laboratories, x-rays, exams, anything that has to do with exams, right? You'll see on the next section, we have what we have contributed to LMC, which is on 22-23 is $527,618. That is for the agreement that we have with LMC.
Right.
Our local funds were $23,000, and as you remember, that was the year that I had to come back twice to ask for money because we couldn't afford it. The following year, which was last year, we submitted $500,000 to LMC. And I forgot to say, we did overspend on the first year, so that's why we went a little bit over that limit. But then they get reimbursed by the state, so the hospital won't deny that extra that we did go over, right? They'll still keep on giving service to the indigent. On the following year, which was last year, our numbers, we spent very little out of that $500,000, right? Because that's when we started getting that it doesn't provide, it doesn't cover, and as you can see, we were left with $390,000 out of $500,000.
So basically, there was no inpatient services
There were no
provided.
inpatients, yes. And on these numbers, we don't get how much we spend out of what's inpatient. We used to, and you can see in the first year.
First year, yes.
You can see those numbers, but then the following year, we were not provided those numbers.
Okay.
So what I put in here is just what I have under my records, where I'm getting those claim forms for ultrasounds, exams and all that, outpatient, not inpatient. I don't get those numbers.
I think, well, the agreement we've had with LMC for many, many years is, basically, they, of course, have the indigent program for us. They take care of our indigent healthcare needs, inpatient, outpatient also. But at the same time, they operate that clinic,
Yes, actually, and these are the numbers through our clinic.
It comes down to whether the investment is sufficient for us to justify, keeping, the services that we're obligated, by the state to set aside 8% of our general fund tax revenues, for indigent healthcare. We're not obligated to spend all of it, but we, over the years, with the agreement we have with the Laredo Medical Center, because of the need, to increase medical healthcare, we said, and we've applied, like I said, they get reimbursed, state funding, 1115 waiver. We said, we'll contribute our entire 8%, which has steadily decreased because our tax revenues have decreased. and at the same time, you operate the clinic. It used to be a 24-hour clinic, now it's down to 12 hours, because the funding had just gone, less and less every year. But, yeah, I mean, our options are very limited, but are you saying that they are not,
What I'm actually trying to.
well, they're not
across is-
accepting
It's
indigent
not
patients?
so much because the hospital itself has different programs now inside the hospital. In other words, before we used to get service through the ER, right?
Uh-huh.
But now it is taken, somebody else take, control of that. It's not the same, provider. In other words, they have different,
So if an
providers
indigent
inside
patient
and
needs emergency services from Zapata,
not for the indigent people, we don't, they get charged.
they will be
Actually,
turned away and.
They have been turned away. I was called a liar by CFO of LMC, which I said that, but I do have names of people that have been turned away, because of that issue. I mean, I give them a voucher, we give them all the information, we put them in an ambulance, we send them to ER, and they're sent back.
Yeah, well, that's not, I mean, that's not what we hear.
Yeah, why are they being sent back though?
Because they don't have insurance.
What Pat is saying
And
is
the ER
that
doesn't take the vouchers.
LMC is, subleasing their hospital.
But whether they're subleasing or not, that's still
Well,
under
they're
the
still-
umbrella
it's
of
still-
LMC.
Well, that's what the CFO said, but then I have.
In reality, when
In
your
reality,
patients show
you know.
up with a voucher, they are
And I've had
turned.
situations where they do take them in, and they just tell them, go, I don't know the circumstances, and I can't, judge because of
Right.
that. But I know they told, those patients, just go back, go to your, health provider and let them take care of it. And they get a bill of
But-
$3,000.
But they are a health
Indigent.
provider.
In-
They are a health
Exactly,
provider.
well, that is something I really wanted to talk to the CFO in March. He agreed to come to Zapata, and he was gonna call me or send me an email, and I'm still waiting.
Well, they were supposed to come down, I ended it
And it's just an issue that's been going on, and you can see the numbers where we spent more local funds than almost 74,000 in local funds than the agreement that we had.
Yeah.
Which you say, okay, what's going on with those?
Yeah, well, and we haven't made that transfer this year, so that may be something that we need to, bring up with LMC before we agree to transfer any of those funds. If we're not getting the services, then what's the use?
Well, that year we didn't. This year, because we have, constantly been calling and texting and emailing, this year we only have 118,000 left, which means that we've been serviced most of the time not through the ER. We don't, in other words, I had to go around all those, issues that we have. This doesn't cover, so we don't take care of that. We just take care of what it is covered under their so-called agreement, because there's no contract. And I believe that maybe that is the biggest issue here, that there's no contract. You don't have anything that we can rely on and say, okay, well, you signed here and it's a contract, so, right? It's just tomorrow I'll tell you yes, today it's no.
Well, the agreement is they take care of our indigent
Yeah.
and operate the clinic, so, I mean.
And they take our money.
Yes, and we contribute, to the operation of that. We certainly subsidize that clinic on a yearly basis with that contribution, but, the main issue or the main responsibility of the court is our indigent, patients. And if those are not being taken care of by LMC, then, basically the program is fading, our most needy.
Exactly. I've been trying to get through these people, but, I guess I'm just nobody for them.
Were they
Well,
being-
we've had discussions with them, I mean,
Yeah.
they.
It's been on and off, and it's like, okay, maybe they want a middleman in there or something, because it's just not going through.
Yeah.
I mean, they still get the money
Well,
and
I'm
then
glad
they get it.
you're bringing this to light, before the court makes any further decisions on that.
Yeah, so this year, I mean, we have spent $281,592 out of the 400,000. It's been good. We've been sending, it's been different, but we've been serviced. Zapata, here at the clinic, I mean, we try our best, I mean, we don't have much equipment, and I've heard that we don't do
Okay.
much, but it is. I mean, we are servicing a lot of people here in Zapata, which mainly that is where our funds are going through, the clinic, okay? Any other emergency, we really have to like improvise another way.
Okay, so but we've gotten 280,000 worth of,
Service.
patient care services from LMC this year.
Yes, this year it's been good. Our local funds were 48,000
Yes.
and we still have 15,000
Okay.
left, or
Well-
10,000 maybe to right now.
Maybe just, we need to clear up what's happening at the
What is,
emergency room.
I think it's just lack of communication, because I am not going through, because for some, I don't know what reasons they have. It's not being, they're not sending it back. I usually get in contact with the director of for the finances of LMC. They will not provide numbers.
Okay.
And maybe because of the waiver, we're not allowed to get it, right? So that's fine, I can understand that. But at least so we can know where we stand and how much more we can spend.
Communication.
Yeah, it's just a lack of communications.
Were they made aware of today's, Commissioners Court, that we were gonna speak about this?
No, because they don't answer the phone.
Nobody was aware.
But they
I'm
do
waiting
have-
for
they do
March,
have-
till
they-
March, I'm still waiting for
They
those
do have
calls.
emails though, right?
I sent emails, yes.
You sent emails about this meeting
And
today?
he's been, and
No.
I text him and he texts me back, just, hold on, I'll be there in Zapata, I wanna talk to you,
For
I wanna
today?
go over.
For today?
She
No,
wasn't
not
able,
for
she wasn't
today.
able to put it in the.
So they weren't
No.
contacted for today?
No, they were not contacted today, I mean, but, okay, you do know, I mean, do they know that it's been tabled?
What?
I mean, that we.
That they didn't
said
receive
that
money, I'm
we-
sure
they
they-
never
I'm
received
sure-
Yeah, they're
anything,
aware of that.
because if they know they haven't received that big check, I mean, I would be concerned and I would call Zapata and say, okay, what's going on, I haven't received the check. Right? And they're
I
aware?
think they're aware that, there's two, I guess, option periods to transfer those funds, and so,
I think the next one's coming up in June or July.
yes, so.
Yeah. Well, it would be nice if they would come in and say,
So there
okay,
was no
what's going on,
communication, there was no
Zapata?
communication with them about this today?
Not today.
No, she wasn't on the agenda.
I was not on the agenda, and that's why I asked you before we started. that-
So the miscommunication right now for today only
Yeah, but it's
was-
not my fault, if that's where you're going.
No, I'm
through
not
this,
saying
and
it's
I
your
didn't
fault.
call him or
I mean,
anything.
it's all
I'm
good info,
waiting.
so we've gotten services,
Yes,
but there's
we're
some,
getting services
but
this year.
there's some things that need to be improved on.
Yes,
Or
and this
clarified.
is why I made this, so y'all can see how we've been improving with the services, right?
Yeah.
If they wanna get another agreement or handshake agreement, how you guys call it, hey, let them come down.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna go over there, I mean, this guy's been waiting, I've been waiting for him so long.
I have a question, so
Yes.
just for clarification, so when you say that they're denied service at the ER, that means that they go in for an emergency and they send them home? Cause that's illegal, that can't be done.
Tell me
If
about
you're
it.
there with an emergency, they have to tend you no matter whether you have insurance or you don't.
Yeah.
So if they
Tell
are
that to
doing that,
LMC.
we really need to look into it because it is unlawful. Everybody deserves to
And
get
that's
service
what
whether
he
they
said,
have
that's what
insurance
he
or
said,
not.
but then,
So
that's
I-
why
I
he
just
called
need-
me a liar, because he said, no, that's not true. We'll get to your, with your people at the ER, but somebody's jumping.
Maybe what's happening is that they might be taking a little too long and maybe they get
Well, we
frustrated. and
cannot go
leave,
into
but-
assumptions because it's a health issue, it's not something that you're gonna go
Yeah,
pay or
definitely.
buy a phone. It's something that you're feeling sick and you're going to an ER and you wanna know that you're being serviced.
No, no.
I mean, it's, now, at this year, what I'm doing, I give them the voucher and I go, I'm gonna give you all this, so you can just go in. You might get a statement back that you're gonna have to pay it, but at least that voucher is taking you inside. And the moment we put you in an ambulance, they have to take you because you're inside. Okay?
Yeah, that's why I asked, cause I know it's
That's,
unlawful.
and I
yeah.
do go through all those
Yeah.
procedures because so we can do it the right way, that way. If they come in and say, you know what, it's because these people are just coming in, walking in, and they're not walking in, right? So it's
Yeah,
just
that's
a
why I asked
circumstance,
if
it's
it's
just, I don't want
emergency.
anybody to die under my.
Yeah, no, definitely not. That's one of the reasons they have to service them, whether they're
Exactly.
poor, rich, mid-class, whatever it is.
It doesn't
they
matter
get
who
the
it
service,
is,
yeah.
and it's just happened to be, maybe at that day, somebody was there that just didn't do it.
And if that's the
And
case,
it's bad,
then
as
we
far
might
as the
need to
clients
look
being
into it.
served, I remember when I first came in 2021, we had the very bare minimum, we had 16, 15 cases. you know, so thank you for picking up the program and helping out our most needy.
Over 150.
Yes, and this has, it is being provided through our clinic. I just wanna make that clear, that those services are actually done through the clinic. We're trying our best not to have to send anybody to another specialist, and it's being done through there.
Okay,
It's
and the services are here, so as far as your part, you know, you've been doing an amazing job, thank you.
Thank you, and thank, the staff at the clinic,
Yes, of
they're doing an
course.
awesome job.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pat.
Sure.
Thank you.
We'll follow up. Any other communications, commissioners? No, we'll move on to public comment. This section provides the public the opportunity to address the commission's board on any items on the agenda. Members of the public? No, we'll move on to item number 6, approval of invoices. In your packets, commissioners, you had invoices from May the 9th, 2025 through May 22nd, 2025, for a total of $658,649.38.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve is presented by Commissioner Solis, seconded by Commissioner Garza. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 7 is approval of checks issued. And also in your packet, we have checks from May the 9th, 2025 through May the 22nd, 2025 for a grand total of $658,649.38.
Motion to approve is presented.
Motion to approve
Second.
as presented by Commissioner Solis, seconded by Commissioner Garza. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I think every year, we get into this critical period where our tax revenues, which are less than half of our total budget expenses, have been exhausted. And the next few months is a month by month kind of situation, where we rely on revenues such as sales tax and other to kind of get us through the end of the year. We're there, so I think we need to monitor all departments exactly how we utilize our funds for the next 4 or 5 months. Because if you think of it, we have we only have a $16 million general fund budget. Out of that, less than $7 million is property tax revenues. The rest we rely on sales tax, jail revenues, and other revenues that are much more volatile or unsure of than property taxes. So, and this year, I think we're all firmly aware, we rely almost 8-9% of our budget on amusement redemption machines revenues. Those are gonna be down significantly. So there should be expected a major shortfall in our revenues. So I would just ask all departments to make sure that if you don't need to purchase something, just hold back on it for next budget year. We'll move on to reports and presentation. Item number 8 is a presentation regarding the savings achieved to date for the county and the P3 Group's 2025 electricity procurement proposal. I see Mr. Quinn in the audience. Good morning from Public Power Pool. Mr. Quinn, good to see you again.
Mr. Quinn, good morning.
Good morning. I have some handouts.
Oh, yes. Good.
Morning. Thank you.
You have one for me? Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate the opportunity to come back to Zapata and talk to you about where we are with the contract. So my name is David Quinn. I'm the program manager for Public Power Pool. By way of background, P3 was set up in 2002 when the legislation came on electricity, and it gives us an opportunity to combine the load of about 100 political subdivisions we're in the group right now to negotiate better quality contracts, and by using the size of the group in the marketplace to negotiate down the cost of electricity. There's a handout on the inside of that blue folder, looks like this. The second page shows you our current membership list. We are up to 100 members now. We've been adding quite a few utility districts, and Aransas County just joined the group down on the Gulf Coast. So far, our record of savings on page 3 shows $205.7 million saved for the group as a whole. That's comparing the price that we've negotiated in each of our contracts to the market settling price for electricity since the program began. The important numbers shown on the next page, page 4, for Zapata County, you've saved $1.4 million. since 2002 by being part of this group purchase. And that's just our own in-house way of calculating savings. We think it's a pretty conservative way of doing it. The PUC has us calculate savings a different way, and that's shown on page 5. It's called House Bill 3693 report that we provide to you each year. And it basically shows you how much you've been consuming and what your spend has been over the previous calendar year. For 2024, you spent $965,417. Now, the PUC has us compare that price in the P3 contract to what they call the provider of last resort benchmark. And using their calculation, you saved over $250,000 just in 2024. So we'll take their calculation and say it's over our own because it shows more dollars saved than that. Page 6 shows you your current budget report. This is something we reissue every year so that you can plan forward and know exactly how much you have to budget for your future energy costs. This is for FY 2025 through the end of September of this year. We will be running budget reports for FY 2026 just as soon as we're able to determine what we think the very ceiling price will be, which you'll be paying under the next contract. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about today, is the current contract expires at the end of this year. So we are in the market right now. In fact, today is our deadline for responses to the RFP that we sent out. When we do a procurement, we send an RFP out to every registered retailer provider in the state. We're not trying to steer business to any one provider. We're not trying to award contracts to providers that have serviced the load before. We want to make sure everyone's got an equal opportunity to bid on this. And so we send it out to every retail electric provider. We are expecting responses by 5 p.m. today on the group purchase.
What do rates look for the next year?
That's here's what we did in the procurement proposal for Zapata County Judge on page 9. This is essentially what we have projected you will be paying under the next contract. And we've established 2 rates here. One, the first orange column says ceiling rates. That's the very maximum that you will pay under the P3 contract. That's capped. We cannot go above that ceiling rate. If we do, we have to stop the procurement and go back to the board and start it all over again because that exceeds our expectations. Now, we've always done better than our ceiling rates. And so the column on the left is the expected rates. That's what we reasonably expect to be able to achieve this contract cycle, about 6.2 cents in 2026, 6.03 cents in 2027, and 5.84 cents in 2028.
So
Now,
our current rate is 5.1, right?
that's right, yes. So there will be, unless we're able to go out further through 2029 when we can see that those rates drop significantly, then there will be a rate increase here.
You know, of course, and all this depends on energy prices, and energy is down considerably.
The next
So
page.
what would be the?
The next page.
Okay.
This is probably the most.
I'm just trying
important
to
slide, yeah.
rationalize why we're going up and everything else is
Yeah.
going down.
Yeah.
Well, our energy prices.
Well, natural gas has stayed historically low.
Right.
Production is still up. In fact, the production is beginning to decline because they're not able to achieve the kind of profit margin they were looking for before. So natural gas is still low. And another price factor there is that so much is being exported now with liquid natural gas. Electricity is staying high. And the reason why is because there's still nervousness in the industry about the ability of the grid to be able to deliver. There's some nervousness out there about all the projections of increased demand over the coming years. That is really what's driving that price inflation, the cost of electricity. We like to think that that band between the high cost of electricity and the low cost of natural gas is going to start narrowing, but we're not there yet. And we've been looking at that for several years, thinking that should really decline. The fundamentals should drop that electricity price down closer to where natural gas is, but it hasn't quite happened yet.
So is the state, I know there's several bills legislated, where, I guess we're trying to go back to increasing more natural gas, production, as far as electricity instead of, renewable energy?
I mean, there's been such a big growth in renewables over the past few years, Judge, that I think the pendulum is beginning to swing back, and the realization is that we need to make sure that the natural gas producers are able to continue to deliver the large amount of natural gas to the marketplace. That is really still the key driver of electricity prices. To answer your question, we think that natural gas prices are going to stay low. That there's no reason right now why they would increase. Ultimately, what happens though is that the market's going to determine this. We can, pass all kinds of policy, but ultimately it's going to be up to the industry itself to decide how much are they going to ramp up production, how much are they going to start mothballing some locations and wait for higher prices.
In our case, I mean, I wouldn't mind paying higher prices for electricity if natural gas would actually come up and help our mineral valuations, help our tax base, but here what I'm looking at is, you're saying natural gas is gonna stay low, so our tax base is gonna remain low, and we're still gonna pay more, so it's like a double whammy for us.
That's unfortunately, that's what the market is holding right now. If you take a look at this curve here, this is actually, we went out to the marketplace last week and took a look to see what forward prices were for each of these years, from 2026 to 2035. And those are the prices that are available right now in the south zone of ERCOT, where you all are.
Right.
For each of those individual years. So you're looking there at about just below 6.6 cents in 2026. It drops down 2027, 2028, and it bounces back up a little bit. So realistically, we're probably going to be in the marketplace for a 3-year contract at the very most right now, simply because we'd like to see those forward prices for 29 through 35 drop down further before we even think about procuring those years. But in the meantime, we're stuck with what we have in terms of 26 through 27 to 28. Each of these price points does come in below the ceiling price threshold. So we will be authorized to be able to procure at these caps. And we think we'll be able to do better than this. We think the price curve is dropping on a weekly basis right now for the first few years, 26 and 28. We saw about a 10% drop in those price points a month ago, and it bounced back up a little bit, but it's beginning to show over time a general trend downwards.
So today, like I said, we have to review the contract. There's not an action item today. There's
No action requested, Judge.
Okay, so you'll be coming back, addressing the court for an action item as far as?
The way that we operate is you stay with the group until such time as you decide you want to do something else and get out. This is an opt-out process.
Opt-out, and that opt-out is a 90-day?
It was a 45-day.
45. Okay. Sure that. I think being part of the pool has been good for the county. I mean, there's some data to show, of course. I guess you could verify that later, yes. But I think as far as for budgeting, it does allow for less volatility for the county on being on the open market. I think it's been a good relationship over the years with the power pool. And so I see that the pool is not really growing all that much, or is it? Or
we're adding, we added Aransas County last year. We've added probably about 5 to 6 municipal utility districts in the Houston area over the past year. Some of them are quite large. So we are adding kilowatt hours.
Okay.
We are adding a group. In terms of our purchasing power, we've already reached critical mass. I mean, I don't think that we would have any more leverage in the marketplace than we have now.
I got you by bringing more.
Yeah. But that doesn't stop us from looking at invitations over to any political subdivision in Texas.
And what are the final bills in this legislative session that may impact? Have they been voted on, or have they been signed? Or?
We have a week left in the legislative session. A couple of bills relating to grid reliability have passed. The bill to ramp up nuclear generation has passed, but has been all of the bills relating to private property rights when it comes to renewable generation that were, getting quite a lot of discussion seem to be stuck. But that doesn't mean to say they won't be added on as amendments in the final reading of the legislature to another bill.
Yeah,
So
so it's
keep on
time,
watching,
yeah.
we'll still have a few days before we know exactly what it's going to look like. But it seems to me as if most of the bills designed to improve generation have moved slowly and could stand a chance of passage. And the ones that limit the renewables haven't really had that impact yet.
Yeah, of course, there's been a considerable interest in our county for renewable energy. We've been a natural gas county for 50, 60 years, but I think it's good to have everything, a little of everything, but it seems that those projects have stalled as far as, or being delayed for construction, depending on which way the state moves on.
And it works both ways, works both ways in terms of making sure that we have that diversity of generation.
Right.
We have the battery backup now. But a lot of the wind and solar farms that are going in and now have batteries to hold that energy, to put it on the grid, but it's valuable, it's
Right.
really needed. So that's been a game changer in the past couple of years. But ultimately, it's the free market going to determine what that means to each retailer's portfolio is going to be, what that balance is going to be between, natural gas, traditional natural gas, the wind, the solar guys, and now kind of
Battery storage.
a re-emergent nuclear sector.
The nuclear,
Getting
right,
a
that's
significant
right.
investment from the state, so.
Yeah, I think all of the above would probably be the best scenario for it.
But yeah, Judge, you touched on something, let me just add, the main aim of this program is, we're always gonna try to get you the lowest prices available in the marketplace at any one time. We're a non-profit, we're not trying to make any money.
No, I understand that. It's just,
But our main motivation is to give you budgets to cover.
yeah,
We understand that that's the most important factor for the county, knowing exactly how much you need to budget for. We want to give you that reliability of knowing this is how much we need to budget for.
okay.
As soon as we've done the deal, we'll come back to you with a full budget report showing you exactly this is the amount of
Okay,
dollars.
so we can include it in our budget. Very well.
We'd like to get that to you before your budget process begins or during the budget process.
Okay.
This summer.
Very well. Anything else, Commissioners? Any questions? Thank you, Dave.
Yes, sir.
Fight for us.
Yes.
We're doing our best, and like I say, we're gonna drive the best possible rate we can at any given moment. I look forward to coming back and presenting to you, the results of this, the outcome, and tell you what you can expect going forward with the budget.
Very well.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dave.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We'll move on to the action items, Commissioners. We will deliberate and consider action. Item number 9 is to ratify submission of grant application to the fiscal year 26 community project funding for countywide drainage, sidewalk, and street infrastructure improvement. Commissioners, Mrs. Utley did submit a grant application to Congressman Pereira's office, and this is basically another funding source, possible funding source for your street improvements that, of course, all the commissioners, we've been wanting to see as a reality. It is close to $4 million application, and because of the time constraints, we submitted it, and we're bringing it back to make sure the Commissioners Court is ratifying the submission of this grant. So that's what today's action would be, basically to concur with the grant application being submitted for possible funding to the Congressman Pereira's office.
Motion to approve is
Motion
presented,
to-
Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Solis, seconded by Commissioner Morales. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Judge, I just want to mention, for public awareness for my precinct, in the packet, we included Falcon Lane, that this should cover Guaya to Juan Lane in a total of $155,350. Also, we have included Davis Lane from Monterrey to Westlaco, a total amount of $122,550. Next, we have North Siesta Lane. It's gonna be from Peña to Guaya Lane, the amount of $231,250. And the last one would be Vista Hermosa, I got two more. Vista Hermosa from from West Lago Vista. It'll be $37,510. And then, another one in Lago Vista, it'll be $44,020, which is for public awareness.
Yeah, thank you. And of course, the commissioners over the years have identified, I guess, priority streets, yes. And so I thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. I know you've been working with the commissioners on trying to identify and place some numbers for application purposes on those priority streets.
Yes, good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
Good morning.
On this particular item that got submitted, and Commissioner Solis just went over precinct 3, and the judge mentioned it was roughly about $3.8 million in total for the county for improvements to streets within the county. On precinct 1, we're looking at Hidalgo Boulevard from the courthouse to Highway 16. And we're looking at Glen Street, at 17th Street from 83 to Glen. And then we're looking at 8th, 9th, 10th, and 12th Streets from US 83 to Hidalgo Boulevard. And that precinct total brings it up to about 1.2 million. Precinct 2, that brings Roma 19th and 20th Street, that is over by the high school. That requires some street improvements, sidewalks, and some drainage improvements. And then Fresno Street from 21st to the 27th. Then 21st Street from Fresno to Carna for a total precinct of $885,750 submittal. And then on precinct 3, Commissioner Solis went over them on Falcon Lane, Davis Lane, Siesta Lane, Vista Hermosa, Lago Vista, for a precinct total of $787,746. And then precinct 4 was Roma Street from 16th to 19th. There's some drainage improvements.
That also ties in with Commissioner Morales going down on 19th to the high school.
That area gets used a lot by the students that go to the high school there, and that
And
that
a lot of
walk,
flooding
that
also.
drive their vehicles through there, there's some flooding. And there's some improvements that are needed there for drainage and paving. 17th Street from.
The middle school.
That ties in with Commissioner Moya's from 83 all the way to 4th Street on 17th. That one goes through North Elementary School and
Middle school, and down all the way to 4th Street.
It will need some sidewalk improvements
Correct.
to meet the sidewalk codes. And then you have precinct total of $915,728. And then we have the letters of support from the commissioners, from the judge, from the school district, and that was your complete packet. I believe you have it on your.
Correct.
Yes, sir, we do. The reason I mentioned it is because we do hear the complaints. I mean, we see.
On a daily.
Yeah, we do see the damaged areas. And I mentioned the amounts just so people could be aware that it's very hard to do these kind of projects with our yearly budget, which is $40,000. So as I mentioned, that area from Cuellar to Juan, it's $155,350. I know it needs a lot of work, but it can be achieved, with with our yearly budget. Going back to Monterrey to Westlaco, it's $122,000. Going, to North Siesta Lane, it's $231,000. So we see them, we hear you. Just bear with us. We will, get some sort of grant if it's either this one or the safer streets, and we will address them, as they come.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gonzalez, for your help and putting some numbers to those priority streets.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
This is an addition, right, Judge, to the 4 million road bond that we have? Like this would be added, or is it?
Well,
It's the same plan.
Okay.
It's the same, yeah.
so we're gonna see if we can avoid having to borrow more money, Richard, so we can get these grants.
Yeah.
will.
So literally what we did, the same project that we used for the road bonds, we used it for this grant application.
To not have to. we
So
haven't
it's either
incurred
gonna be
that
help,
debt yet,
hopefully we
but
can get
will
help
have
from
to.
that grant, if not, the other grant will kick in.
Mr. Gonzalez, maybe I missed it, but the water lines, is that something that the Siesta Shores, water, board would have to, do they go to the center, do they go to the sides?
They all go through the center of the streets.
On Siesta
So these-
Shores,
these-
the water lines go through the backs of the homes.
To the back of the homes?
Yeah, so the district is looking for funding to move those water lines to the front of the homes, so that it would make it easier for reading the meters, maintenance, and those kinds of things.
But it wouldn't affect us, the streets?
Well, we're looking at, Falcon Lane and Davis Lane, and the ones the commissioner mentioned that are in, particularly in Siesta Shores.
Okay.
It was Davis and Falcon, those two streets, and North Siesta Lane. Those would be, we would have to look at, if we move them to the front, how we could coordinate that with the water district to, have those water adjustments put in there for those particular streets.
Before we do the paving?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you want to be the hope, but it all comes down to funding, and I think we ran into the same problem, in the initial, I guess, bond that we issued 20 years ago, 15 years ago, where the Siesta Shores just didn't have the funds to move those lines, to relocate those lines,
And I think
we
the same
went ahead
issue
with
happened
paving,
in ours.
and of course, then, new homes are constructed, and, the streets are cut, and, so.
That's
just
a
a
major
reality
issue
of how
in
you-
my area as well.
Yeah.
That's one of the main issues in my area as well. You know, all the water lines are depleted and they all run through the center of the streets. You know, we get a water leak, then we have to cut them open, you know, you loosen up the foundation, eventually you patch them back up, water seeps in, then you get all this
And
dirty in the
that's
streets.
where, you know, we were talking, with Mr. Ralph, I think a bore machine. I know we had one back in sometime, we
We
had
have
a bore
one.
machine.
It
But
just
it-
needs-
It just,
It needs
it
maintenance.
won't work in Siesta Shores.
There's a lot of rock in Siesta Shores, so it makes it really difficult to use that bore machine because it's a,
It's the hardest rock I've ever seen.
it's almost like granite.
It's almost like
And,
granite.
so the bore machine would need, to be, I guess, a heavier duty, boring
Right,
machine.
that's where I was getting at. So
Or at least,
that's what we talked about.
make a
I mean,
bid.
I think it'd be a great investment in the future, you know, if we do get some funds, you know, try to obtain one of those, pieces of equipment for the water plant.
It'd certainly be helpful to find one of good size that we could, water work could use.
So we can destroy those
Yeah.
rocks.
Dynamite.
It's a tough rock, I mean, it's good for foundations, I mean, those houses don't move. So we've got a motion and a second, right, Mary Jane?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, we do.
Took action already.
Okay,
Solis Morales. Solis Morales.
okay, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Motion carried, and, hopefully, we can get some funding for moving
Green.
forward, yes.
Green judge.
Item number 10 is to approve payment of $1,650 to Oso Blanco storage units for usage by the county treasurer's office. Account closed effective June 15, 2025. I was informed by the treasurer that, these storage units, became under new ownership. I think, that basically those, hadn't been billed for, 2 or 3 years, I believe.
I think it's 3 years.
And
3 years.
since the new owners took over, they're asking for that $1,650. Of course, treasurer's office, like most departments, doesn't have the funds to pay for it, so it'll have to come out of non-department to pay
Motion
for
to
it.
approve.
And, a motion by Commissioner,
I'll
Moya,
second.
and seconded by Commissioner Garza to approve the payout, also Blanco storage of $1,650 and close out, that account. They are gonna need some help, Commissioners, in removing, basically a lot of documents that are outdated and need to be basically, destroyed.
Do
is my
we have
understanding.
that company that comes and does all the shredding of the papers?
I think the plan I understood was to take them to the landfill, but I don't.
It depends on how sensitive they are. They might have to be
You probably have to burn everything.
burnt, yeah,
You go
I'm
to the
burnt.
landfill, you dig a hole, throw everything in there, burn
A lot of
everything.
it was.
I don't know how.
I don't know, would the burn ban, affect that?
Well, we can't burn at the landfill, because they're real, be susceptible to just giving the whole length along.
Judge, I can go ahead and find out what the requirements are for that, and then.
Yes.
We're gonna have to move them out of there though. Another
Look
pay another
accordingly,
month.
yeah.
We could pay an additional few months. I mean,
Okay.
$50 a month, I think that's what I saw.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So when is the deadline?
They won't, this month,
June 15.
So you have a couple of weeks.
couple of
Okay,
weeks.
we can settle, so we can figure something out. We'll figure out
Yeah,
what the
that's right.
protocol is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get who's on board.
I think the best bet would be to hire a company to come and straight all the paper.
And how much
Then,
then?
I
How
think
much
you
is
A
it?
lot of it was
You have
like
the-
infested with like.
Yeah.
Mr.
So these
Gonzalez,
ones
you have the
each-
information as far as which, storage units?
Oh, I can find that
The
out
numbers
from
and
the
stuff,
treasurer,
okay.
yeah.
No, we'll take care of it, we'll figure
Okay.
it out. Yeah, let's
All right.
work that extra $50.
All right, we got a motion and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 11, to award administrative services for the fiscal year 2025 Safe Street and Roads for All. And, Commissioners, this is another funding source, possible funding source for additional street improvements, which may include the ones we have on file, or maybe if we get both funding, we never know.
Whichever one we get first.
Yes.
Motion to approve.
Yes, so we have a scoring committee, that we normally do to, award the administrative services, I think, and it's our county auditor, our personnel director, also is one of the screening, committee, and Roxy Elizondo, my administrative assistant. We have been, I guess, the three, tasked with, over the
Yeah, we've
years.
been doing that for pretty much all of them.
Yes.
For a while.
You're gonna go over the scoring, Mr. G?
Yes,
Yes.
on this, just so you, for reference, the proposed grant application for $4 million, and the proposals for what it was gonna cost from each one was, Mr. Colina Vargas, joint venture was $40,000, which was 1%. Mr. Esther and Company was $200,000, which is 5%, and Lone Star Strategy proposed $400,000, which was 10%. And there's a formula that we use, on the basis of 20 points for each one, and that kinda, the lower you are, the more points you get.
Is there a reason why there's such a big, gap from 40,000 and 200 to 400,000 as far as charging?
I think the 40,000 you pay for, you get what you pay for, type of
Yeah,
thing
well,
on that one.
the
But
grant
it's all
allows
to
up to
them.
10%, I believe.
Yeah, it's up to them, it's up to them.
So,
But
We-
there's
we
such a
don't-
big difference.
We don't really have a say in it, it's up to
I understand
10%,
that.
and then they are the ones that decide, what they wanna charge, and then we take that into consideration. And, saying that, the totals ended up being, Mr. Colina Vargas joint venture, 202, Esser and Company, 245, and Lone Star Strategy Group, 200. Then you can see where the evaluators, the breakdown of who scored what. And so we're recommending, the committee is recommending Esser and Company, which had a total of 245
Make a
points.
motion to go with the committee's recommendation as their company, awarding the services.
oh, Mr. Commissioner Moya had the motion, you
Yeah.
want?
I'll make the motion to have Ezra and Company.
Okay,
I'll
motion
second
and
it.
second, motion by Commissioner Moya, seconded by Commissioner, Solis. Any other discussion to award the administrative service to Esser and Company? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, Mr. Esser will do a good job for us, yes, okay.
And then the
Hopefully
next-
we can, and then the next one is, to award engineering services for the fiscal year 2025 Safe Streets and Roads for All. And the same process applies, for the engineering, selection of the engineer.
And we only had one, engineer submit a proposal, which was Premier Engineering.
Motion to approve and award the services to Premier Engineering Services.
Motion by Commissioner Solis, seconded by Commissioner Morales, to award the engineering services to Premier Engineering, for the fiscal year 2025 Safe Streets and Roads for All. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Mr. Gonzalez, real quick before, we finish this, have we been able to put this on the website as far as when we go out for bids and stuff like that, or is it still just on the newspaper?
Oh, I thought you were gonna answer. I don't know that. I would have
We-
to, I can ask Roxy right now.
On the newspaper?
Yes.
So, on the next one, would it be possible, Judge, to get it on the county website as well?
Yeah,
I know I've gotten a lot of
it
requests.
It might be on the website too.
It might be, yeah, I'm not sure of that.
I know I've gotten a lot of requests and people, wanting to, they said they don't look at the
Which I think
newspaper.
that would be
Contractors.
in our age and technology. Let me ask her.
Who's in charge of the website itself? Is it Mr. Alexis?
Roxy.
Yeah, I think you're Roxy.
Maybe we can like update it a little bit, make it
14, to pay invoice of $2,130.50 to STX Golf Management for the purchase of irrigation parts for the golf course. Mr. Pina submitted some invoices that he's incurred in trying to keep our sprinkler system going.
Judge, I'm sorry, excuse me, just an update, it is on the website. Just
Okay.
confirm with Rossi.
Okay, very well. So as repairs are needed, and to avoid delays on repairing because of, I guess, no parts in the area, STX is purchasing these parts, and fixing them, and
Motion to approve as presented, we got invoice number one in the amount of $136.90. We have second invoice in $155.64. We do have, another invoice for $506.25, and this would be to, for the parts. What's the name of the company, George?
Bear Irrigation.
Bear Irrigation. We have another invoice 17,188 in the amount of $502.50, also to Bear Irrigation. And we do have another one in the amount of $716.25, also to Bear Irrigation.
I'm sorry, I have a question on that one. Why does it say pay on the invoice?
Are we reimbursing or are we?
Yeah, we're
Yeah, 'cause he paid them.
Oh, he
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
reimbursing STX.
to expedite the repairs.
He just took it upon himself to go ahead and get it done.
So what,
We're
so
gonna
what
pay
is
them
it?
for the parts, and then we're reimbursing,
And the last one would be, Judge, to, I believe it's Amazon in the amount of $12.96, totaling, $2,130.50 to STX.
Seconded.
Motion stand.
motion by Commissioner Solis,
I'll second it.
seconded by Commissioner Gasa. I think we've used up our golf, account, so it'll have to be out of non-department. So it'll be out of non-department. Motion is second, all those in favor say aye. Golf course does look nice, the greens are coming around,
Getting better.
but it takes a lot of irrigation, and some of those sprinklers, of course, just the sprinkler heads to replace them are very expensive.
On the greens that we had already approved for, I guess
There's one, I think number 5, I visited with Mr. Pina, he says, the company, that was interested in replacing that green, has not responded to him, so he's looking for other vendors that.
Well, I know we have a local gentleman that we spoke about the other day, Mr. Joel Lopez. I know he's very good at that, I've got recommendations from the school district,
Well,
so he can take care of that.
Yeah.
I think that but the bottom line, I think we need to take care of the irrigation system. I know we have,
First.
I think we have a lot of, the sprinklers, not the sprinkler head, but the system.
Well,
The wiring of
the
it.
automated, system, so right now we're doing manually, to replace, it'll be a significant investment to replace all the lines.
So that was,
Electrical lines.
when I spoke to Mr. Lopez, he was definitely interested, he just wants us to, of course, take care of the water issue first. He said that's, that's what it comes down to,
Or the water, of course, yeah.
So he said, there's no point in redoing the greens when we can't water them, automatically properly, right, at a time basis, so. I think that's one thing that we might have to look into, Judge, in the future.
Yeah. We got it, right? Motion
Yes,
second,
we did.
we voted on,
Mhm.
okay. Item number 14 is to review and discuss the certificates of obligation 2024 funds. Commissioner Moya.
We just put
Judge, may I
that, so
approve?
we know what's what and where it's going what.
I just wanted to kind of clarify, Moya asked me about it, when I talked to him beforehand.
We're kind of always up in the air
We-
from those.
We have, if you take out the $600,000 for the commissioners, and you add up all the county matches, and correct me if I'm wrong on some of these, but, the 4-H arena is $750,000, correct?
Yeah.
Or, right, it's not 100, because my list has 100,000, but I think it's 750.
750.
And then you add the 618, 631 for the airport improvements, fire station 750, sheriff's office 540, airport fuel farm 137,500, Falcon Lake boat ramp 180,875, Los Ebanos Oh, 100,000, which we're doing a lot of work on.
Yeah, we won't be utilizing that one.
Miraflores Park, 50,000, Medina Drainage, 50, Falcon Mesa paving, 17.5, and San Ignacio Water Plant, another 50,000. Plus the standpipe storage, repairs, which is $1.250 million. Lift station repairs, another 250,000, and the raw water intake pumps, control panels is another 200. If you add all of that up, I was telling, Mr. Moya,
sure.
that's a 4.9, $4,944,000.
We're gonna be $1 million short.
And our CEO was for 3.9. So anything that we do buy for commissioners is really not coming out of certificate obligation, it's coming out of our fund balance.
Yes.
So
we need
I just
to
wanted to explain that, because I know there was
be
some.
cautious on the matches. I think we should hopefully get those projects built and utilize them for the match.
And they're not all gonna happen in this year, so, some will happen,
Yeah.
completions like in a couple of years.
That money's, I mean,
Well, I'm glad you're able to explain it, because, that was one of the reasons,
We
why
never knew.
why we put everything on hold, because we don't know, exactly, we didn't know exactly.
Well, I thought-
Yeah, it becomes hard when you get, there is money, there is no money.
So,
There is money here, but wait.
just so y'all know, just kind
Just
of.
wanted to clarify, throw it out there, there's no certificate of obligation, now we know we move forward.
Well, there is.
And I don't want to be correct.
Well, for what we asked.
for Commissioner, what the hope was, we had applied for some grant funding that basically dried up. So that's where, some of that money could have been utilized for other things, but,
It happens,
Yeah.
we were told we could get it.
Judge and Commissioners, on that item, Mr. Gonzalez did go over the project, and, from time to time, Judge and Commissioners, I know that early last month, Roxy and myself worked on an application for funding for the water tanks, and that's one of the items that's on there. So if that gets funded, well, then you can, you have $1 million there that, you may not need for this particular CO, but because it got funded. So we do apply for funding for different things that the county needs, and some of them get funded, some of them don't. And so then the ones that get funded, we're able to then utilize that money for other needs.
something else, yes.
I know that there's also, on that list, we have, the pumps I met with Mr. Trevino and his team, so he gave me like his absolute, priority list, cause there's big needs, but the ones that are high priority was the 3 pumps at the river intake with the control panels. The 2 lift stations, the one on 83 and the one on, Nicholson subdivision.
Right.
And then, there's SCADA being implemented on 8 of the lift stations, where if the lift station gets to a high point, it'll start calling different operators up to Mr. Trevino, so that station does not have a spill. And then there's a total of 38 stations, but 8 of them are getting service right now. They're the more problematic stations. And then, there's some generator maintenance that's needed for some of these, all of these areas. We have a lot of generators that we have, but some of them, they're new or newer, just, they require some maintenance. So we have a contractor that's gonna provide them some, generator maintenance, cost, and get them on a program so that they can come service 2 or 3 generators every couple of months, and then we get them all running. The, San Ignacio, there's a couple of lift stations there that need some repairs. And then, those are the main ones. There's a sewer line, a 16-inch sewer line on Flores Street, on Flores Park, the one that crosses the creek. That one, the one that's exposed, it's a ductile iron pipe. It needs to be replaced or repaired, probably replaced on that section. And then that line is 16-inch, and it's running pretty close to 4, under a little pressure. So we may need to start planning in the future for replacement on that. And then, the other item that was not on the list that Mr. Gonzalez was going over, and I'm not the bearer of bad news, I'm just the bearer of news, is the water line that Texas wants us to move from Zapata to Ramireño, that, they're wanting to widen the highway and wanting us to relocate our water line. That's a significant.
And I've had discussion with TxDOT about our, I guess, not being, entirely comfortable with the line, with the current setup for the highway.
Right.
I think initially the the expansion was gonna be primarily done on the west side of 83, and that would, not, infringe on our water line and have the county's expense. I think it's still, that project can still be done on the west side. So we've had those discussions. I've made it clear to our TxDOT engineer that we're not comfortable with them changing, those plans to have most of those highway expansion done on the east side. It just, didn't make sense to us. The initial plans called for it to be primarily done on the west side of 83.
There's,
So-
yeah, there's little to no, I mean, it's minimal impact going to the west.
Exactly.
To the county, it's a huge benefit in the terms of, $1.5 million, that we would have to come up with, so it does. have an
For the
impact.
water line?
To move water line, yes.
Yeah, it's like
It's
4 or
6
5 miles.
It's almost 6 miles. So 6 miles, 6-inch line, just linear footage alone, it'll get up.
Yeah,
That's-
I'm not in agreement with that. I've made it clear that they need to change to the original plan. I don't know why they changed it to the east side all of a sudden.
Well, you know, it's good that, you know, this is getting presented, right, I mean, it, you know, I'm glad.
It shows where your position is at.
Well,
in
no,
terms
no,
of
no, but
funding
what I'm
and
saying is I'm
funding.
glad we didn't make those expenses, right, because we have plenty of expenses, you know,
Yeah.
we, you know.
Better
plus-
need.
We're talking about the 1 million plus, you know, additional, or whatever he said, I don't wanna say those numbers anymore, but, you know, so.
Stay
you
away
know,
from him.
You know, so at the end of the day, you know, I'm just glad that we didn't make those expenses, right, that, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, the current plan for that expansion of Highway 3 is, I think, 2038. I don't know if I'll be around, so we might have time to plan on that, but.
2028.
2020.
No, they went up to 2035 and then 2038.
Oh, they moved it up?
Yeah.
Cause I met with TxDOT,
They might have moved it back to
ago,
2028?
From
Well, I might have-
Zapata to Ramireño is 2028.
Okay.
Which
It might be
is
2028?
Still 3 years from
I-
now, but, that's only up to the Ramireño, bridge.
Bridge.
And then replacing the bridge.
On that list, did it include the lift station from 19th and Highway 16th? Cause I know that one's always giving you guys trouble also.
Yes, that is.
Cause I think it's too
that's
small of a pump to pump it up. You know,
They
I
have
always
a-
get complaints
They have a
from.
surface pump right now, temporary, we have 3 temporary pumps throughout our system, and those are on a rental basis. So, some of them, they need to be converted into submersible pumps, so that we can completely, you know, drain down the system and not have, those that are above ground can only go 20 feet. And I think we have, that one, the one on Madison, and there's one other that.
Yeah,
that
cause
are-
I get
the
complaints
one on
all the
83.
time on that.
See, but everything you mentioned, they're needs, they're not wants, we need them.
How much is the rental on that pump?
There's 3 of them, Commissioner, and I'm not sure, but I already did the math on it, we need to buy. our own.
Probably bought 10.
Maybe, yes,
Yeah.
so we need to buy.
Yeah, we need to do something about that.
Yeah, cause I know that one, I get calls on every 3 weeks or every month, you know, hey, it's not working, you know, the water's backing up in my house and it's coming out through the drains and stuff, so we need to take a.
That won't, yes, and those are on his high priority list,
Yeah.
cause he had some that, I mean, out of the 38, that one, the 183, the few that I mentioned, those are like higher needs, and they're getting, that SCADA system and those kinds of things to prevent them from getting to those levels.
So the 200,000 and the 250,000 will cover those priority expenses for the water plant?
The 200,
Cause we allocated for water intake pumps and control panel 200,000.
Yeah,
And
200
you
and
show-
for the standpipe 250.
yes,
Is that the estimate that will, and then lift station repairs are 250,000?
Standpipe,
no,
lift station,
okay.
and raw water.
Yeah, so between the raw water and the lift stations, we have 450.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so that
That
will.
should cover.
Yes, that should cover, and then, you're also gonna have, because we removed that tractor from the contract for the, raw water intake,
Right.
you're gonna have some savings there. We spoke to Mr. Eric from USDA, and for now, we put it on contingency, but we'll see that contingency can go into the control panels at that raw water intake.
Okay.
And it's roughly between 80 to 100,000 that will get added to that, so you have about 550.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
No action on 14. 15 to approve the replacement for the roof at the pump station at the Guadalupe and Liga Martinez Swimming Complex in the amount of $2,280.
So this one just not a replacement, it's a new construction.
New construction.
What's happening with these pumps, I know that they replaced them about 2 years ago. The sun completely is
Yeah.
pretty
Bearing on it.
damaged to it significantly. I did provide some pictures, they're already starting to leak and they're fairly new pumps and they're very expensive. So if we can alleviate, you know, the sun from shining on them too hard. it'd be great.
Who will be doing the construction?
It's Jose, do you remember the name? Jose, he did the one for the Romeo Flores Park. He had turned in an invoice, but I don't know what he's talking about.
Is it metal? Is it a metal?
It's gonna be metal, it's gonna be
Is it
metal.
Hernandez or something?
Jose Hernandez. Yeah, their invoice should have been in here, but.
And this will come out of non-department motion to approve the replacement, the roof at the pump station for Guadalupe. and
It's gonna be new
Liga.
construction.
New construction.
It'll be a new
I'll
construction.
second
Yeah,
that.
it's never had a cut.
That's right.
Motion by Commissioner Solis, seconded by Commissioner Morales. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
How long will they take, for completion, Commissioner?
I would say maybe like a week or two. It's gonna be quick.
So it'll be
It'll
before,
be,
before it opens
before,
up.
yes.
What type of roof is it gonna be?
It's a metal.
Metal. Item number 16 is to approve Chiapas construction code for the improvements at the Regional Jail Infirmary. The total amount is $4,500 with $2,500 to be paid up front for materials and the remaining balance to be paid upon completion. Sheriff Montes made this request. He said there's substantial improvement is needed at the infirmary. We didn't address it with the Gonzalez when we did that original contract for the Giselles. The infirmary was left out.
Yes, Judge and Commissioner, on the original contract, we were trying to keep the budget, since it was all coming from county budget, we were trying to keep it, as low as possible and address a lot of the needs for the jail. We did mostly the cells. And so we did, the single cells and then the multiple occupancy cells. Those are the ones that we did. I think there was 4 that were pending, and then the infirmary, and then there's the lobby area needs to be addressed also.
So it looks like it's gonna be countertops, sinks,
Cabinets.
faucets, plumbing, and then, some cabinets, paint both cabinets, and remove the old, I guess, the old cabinets installed for a total of $4,500. Now, Mr. Chapa has done work for us.
Yeah,
before.
pretty much.
The airport.
Motion to approve, Judge,
Motion by Commissioner Solis, seconded by Commissioner Moya, to approve those, improvements at the infirmary for $4,500. All those in favor say aye. Motion
2,500 will
carried.
be paid upfront.
17, to approve the opening of the transporting officer position at starting pay of $30,542 in Department 410, Lot 4. Sheriff, so this transporting officer, would this be an operational all-star position?
Yes.
Yes, motion to approve, Judge. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Solis, seconded by Commissioner Morales. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Hopefully, we're nearing the end of getting, our reimbursements in. I know the holds have been released. As far as OLS, the governor's office is waiting to, we submitted the plan of action on the monitoring review, and they're waiting, we're waiting to see what has been accepted or not. So as soon as that is I guess completed, hopefully we can then, we've got all the requests pending, and certainly it is substantial, and I think we've got 4 months to submit those requests, so we're waiting to see what comes about. But hopefully we can get this transporting officer funded between now and next month. Item number 18 is to approve $20,000 additional funding to line item 231-416-43136, client services. Zapata County Homes for Heroes grant was approved for additional funding in that amount. Morning, how are you, sir? I know.
Morning, Mr. Gonzalez.
Pretty much, we used all our funds
to about a month ago. And we still had some projects going on, so we requested additional funding from TBC. They approved it, and the reason that we're here is so that way, the auditor's office, they can kind of add that amount that will be reimbursed.
For the original
up to-
grant bill.
Yes, it's just for accounting
Motion to
purposes.
approve.
Motion by Commissioner Moya, seconded by Commissioner Garza. Any discussion? They did speak very highly of you, Mr. Pope, of your service and how, things are moving along, with the program, so I appreciate, your efforts.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being so
Motion
active.
and second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item, number 19 is to advertise for the custodian slot maintenance opening. All interviews will be done by the Friends of the Library Committee. Good morning, Ms. Becky.
Good morning, Honorable Judge and Commissioners. For the record, I'm Becky Gutierrez, Director of the Library. Yeah, the deadline would be for applications June 2nd. They can apply in Human Resources with Ms. Nelly Pequeño.
Have we received the resignation or,
Yes, I received it last week.
last week? Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion.
I'll second.
Motion approved by Commissioner Solis, seconded by Commissioner Morales. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 20 is to request help to remodel, replace, the entire roof to the OWB Figueroa Library. I know we've had the discussions over the years. We did file an additional claim, I believe. We had an adjuster come down and look at, all the damage to the library. We'll see what results and see how much will come of that, but definitely, yeah, we've tried to get funding, to replace the roof or replace, do some significant upgrades to the library, and we'll continue to do that. We'll see how much the damage model comes back, on the claim.
Did they have
See
a-
how much we can do with that.
Did they have an ETA on, getting back with we're gonna get funded or not?
Well, maybe we'll be in contact with the,
Insurance?
From the insurance, yes.
Yeah,
They
okay.
came out here on Friday of
Right,
last
I
week.
remember you-
So they came to assess all the damages. It was not only the library, but it was several other buildings around the courthouse,
Did they
around
have
the county.
Did they have an amount or they didn't say an
No,
amount?
they do their initial reports and then they'll, submit it to the insurance, and the insurance will then come out and let us know.
Assess it.
Motion to table, Judge.
okay,
Can I
motion
say
is tabled by
something?
Commissioner Solis.
Yes, go ahead.
It's good when I worry when it rains. I gave you some pictures in the.
Yes.
What I worry is for the wiring where everything's connected to the computer, so every time it rains, it's off.
Yeah, no doubt, we.
And definitely, we'll just wait for the, for
Yeah.
the plane, let's see what comes out of that, and then we'll go.
Okay.
Thank
Motion
you.
by Commissioner Trujillo, seconded by Commissioner.
I'll second it.
Garza, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion tabled. Item number 21, to review status on the Zapata booster station.
G, good morning again.
Judge and Commissioner, on the Zapata Booster Station, that's the project that we have over by the pavilion. The contractors, Frank's Construction, they've been moving along. They pretty much have the project, I went and inspected it this past week. And they did a sample, I guess, startup for me.
Okay.
And we're gonna do a formal startup for the county and the employees so that we can, I guess, review how everything's working. We are pending the final, the chemical feed system. They did put in they installed the lines that go to it, we don't have the scale and the chemical pump. And so, I think the waterworks operator, one of them maybe felt that maybe we didn't need it, so I'm gonna discuss with them and make sure that, if we already have it on the contract, we should put it. If we don't put it, we're gonna end up maybe putting it later. So that's something that we'll look at, but for the most part, the project is 99.5% complete. For the exception of what I mentioned was the chemical feed system. We have invoice number 13 of $68,983.57. We have a remaining balance of $43,170.01. That'll be for any punch list items or any other contingencies that we may see that need to be either cleaned up or once we do the formal startup, if we see anything else that needs to be addressed, it'll be addressed before we.
Once that gets up and running, what would be the pressure increase for the residents around that area?
We're gonna increase it just a little bit, Commissioner. Right now, the pressure at that station is roughly about 35 to 38 pounds. So we're maybe gonna increase to, like, for now, our plan is to increase it to 50 pounds, which is about 12 pounds.
Okay.
And so it's not,
No, but yeah,
we
with 50.
shouldn't, I mean, we shouldn't start getting calls that, you know, now they're having too much pressure if we increase it 12 pounds.
50
Initially,
pounds would be just right.
yeah, initially I was gonna increase it up to 80 pounds. And 80 pounds is the,
Oh, you'll have toilets going out.
it's the allowable pressure from the state.
Yeah.
And so we could go to 80, but I felt we might get some phone calls that, if the pressure's a little higher.
You'll start having
and
water
the-
line breaks and stuff.
Yeah, so we went those 12 pounds, which is minimal upgrade, but it's still.
But the good thing is that we can always increase it. You know,
We can
if the
increase
community.
it. When we do the startup, I am gonna go to our problematic areas and check the pressure at those spots, make sure that we do have at least 35 or better. We should have 35 or better everywhere. And then with the pump system, we should be able to help the peak use time, where everybody's going to school in the morning or everybody comes
Correct.
home for lunch. Those peak uses, they do drop the system significantly. And we did see when we ran it that the water does get used up really quick. When we go to 50, as soon as the pump turns off, within 2 minutes, the pressure drops back down to 38. So it's getting consumed really, either consumed really fast, because if it was a leak, it would already.
Would that be programmed like and say, okay, we're gonna start the pump at 6 in the morning and then shut off like around 9?
No, it's gonna be turning on and off every 5 minutes, every 2 minutes. So one pump turns on, it shuts off for 2 minutes, then the other one turns on, shuts off, and then it's just going back and forth.
A cycle.
And so it's gonna be nonstop, trying to keep the pressure at 50. So it'll be working all day. And then, we have good pressure there at that station, so it will refill our storage tank. So one concern was that we start pumping.
You don't want to deplete it.
Yeah, we would start pumping way more and deplete it and that, everything.
Then we'll run into issues.
Yeah, everything is looking pretty good, so.
I make a motion to approve invoice number 13 in the amount of $68,983.57 to Axar Construction.
Motion by Commissioner Solis, second by Commissioner Morales. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We'll work on the reimbursements on these two.
Yes, I'll get with, Brickworks so that we can get on those. I know that we have a pre-construction meeting on the next project, and I need to send her a copy of the contract.
Okay. Very well, yeah, so item number 22 is to review status on the Zapata drainage project.
On the drainage project, Judge and Commissioners, we are approximately 67% complete on that. And they've installed, additional, square footage on the concrete pilot.
I've seen that, yes.
Yeah, they're pretty much up to, Flores Street.
Almost.
And so then we're looking at, that being installed and we're still lacking some trash and debris containment when we're gonna do the work on the culvert. We gotta, repair that leak that we
Right.
currently have, but I think that's being worked out. It should be done this week. And then,
Do we need
probably
a?
be done within the next maybe 2-3 weeks.
On the left side of it, are we gonna put a berm or?
On
I feel like it's not gonna
on the
be-
left side, Commissioner, yeah, we're
It's pretty wide.
I have put some fill material and so that we can keep the water within the channel itself. It's wanting to go further out, and that further out, after a little while, starts becoming private property. So we tried to keep it so that we wouldn't have to acquire easements from all those owners. The channel was actually over there, and we moved it over to county right of way. So that's why we have it where it's at, because that is owned by the county. We have a 50-foot right of way and a 25-foot easement, so we have 75-foot total. And so you can see the fence line on the east side, and then if you imagine the 75 feet, that's what we currently either own or have an easement on to put in our facilities. And we try to keep, it's still further to the west, but it's within our area. And then the creek was moving much further that way, and it wasn't very noticeable when it was overgrown, but now that we've cleaned it and we've graded it, you can see that the creek went another 40, 50 feet to the west. So we'll have to put in some fill material to keep the.
To divert the water that way.
Get some vegetation and some seed so that it can start growing and maintain the slope area.
Are we gonna notify the public when we're gonna do the cutting of the line and the repairing of the leak, or?
No, because when we did the other project where we did the valve installations, we're gonna be able to isolate that section
alone.
Yes, those two blocks, and we'll be able to cut, I mean, there will be some reduced pressure, but there'll be water to the community.
Okay.
So
Good
we'll,
deal.
as soon as school ends, which is probably in a week,
think Thursday's the
they'll
last.
shut down, and then you'll see that pressure drop, but there'll be water still available.
It'll be a one-day thing, or
It'll be
hours,
one day
or?
thing, yeah. Okay. And the total on that one, Judge and Commissioner, is $41,519.75.
Okay.
And that's invoice number 3.
Motion to approve invoice number 3, the amount of $41,519.75, correction? Also tax for?
Yes. With new plum.
Front services.
So, motion by Commissioner Solis, seconded by Commissioner Moya. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Judge Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, we need to work on those, reimbursements.
Yes.
Okay, all right, good. We've got, one consent item, Commissioners. Motion to approve by
Second.
Commissioner Solis, seconded by Commissioner Morales. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Oh, it's coming up. We forgot in communications, our annual conference.
June
So
1st
we'll be,
through the 5th.
next Monday, right? Monday through Thursday?
Well, we'll be departing on Sunday, we will be attending the early bird, session.
Oh, that's a good session, yeah.
For the commissioners, the judge will come here on Monday.
Monday,
But
yeah.
we'll be back, on Thursday, we will be available by phone, you guys need anything, please reach out to us by phone. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Commissioner Solis, seconded by Commissioner Morales. We're now adjourned. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Who did the motion to adjourn?
Solis Morales.
Solis Morales.
Okay, thank you.
¿Quién lo hizo? ¿Morales?
Morales.
Sí, adjourned.